Buddy, how you doing? Wayne Hillier here with Dean Manti. I know, it's not Barry. Barry and Donna are away on a much well-deserved vacation, and they asked the Focus team to step in today to talk about what's going on right now in the market with creative current events. So we're gonna dive deep into that today and see where the discussion goes. In the meantime, while you guys are making your way in, let us know that you're here. Post in the comments there where you're from, what you're doing, how you're doing. You can also talk about who's got a better beard, myself or Dean. I just got mine trimmed and it looks almost exactly the same as yours. Almost exactly the same.
It's true.
One of us. Who's copying who?
Well, I don't know. We should ask your girl over at Tommy Guns. I have my girl. I don't go to Tommy Guns. I get the straight razor actually. I feel like I'm going to be off like basically every 2.5 weeks when I go. I feel like at any moment, done.
Yeah. You know, I
had no
idea.
Like the Italian music in the background. Dun, 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 dun. It's crazy. Just saying.
Wow.
When you're in Calgary next, we'll go.
Oh my God. Yes, please. But I feel like you're going to set the bars so high that like I won't ever be able to go back to Tommy Guns ever again.
Well, I do have a habit of setting the bar high. I'm sorry. But yes, you probably won't ever go back to Tommy Guns again if you come with me. I promise.
Man. Well, life's too short. Hey, I had no idea. Neil Taniguchi's joining us today too.
What? The Gooch.
He just
it's,
plays
it's the new AI thing, so that it's a digital image of me, and it's really not me, but it records and sounds like me, and it's going to sidetrack on the sidetrack on the sidetrack like me. So just pretend it's me. And I noticed that you left me off the thing until you were done about beard.
Well,
you can join the club anytime. Anytime.
No, I literally cannot. You know that whole Movember thing?
Oh, man.
So, no. I'm just like this.
Well, thank you for joining us, Neil. That's awesome. Who else have we got joining us in the comments here? We got Josh is here. Mystery Facebook user. If you want your name and your little picture there, all you got to do is just go to StreamYard.com/Facebook and you just click the button to allow it to see who you are.
I should do that one of these days.
Yeah. Greetings from Vernon, BC. We got Brandy here saying hello. Who trims their beard? Well, yeah, Tyson's got a big, manly beard. But yeah, well, some of us have to. Barry from Lloydminster. We got Walter from Cambridge. We got Abby from Lethbridge.
Wow, we got a lot of people here today.
Yeah, everybody from everywhere. Oh, we got George from Yarmouth or Yarmouth? Yarmouth. Nova Scotia, eating supper. Jeff in Edmonton. Scott.
Holy Hannah.
Carlos, thanks for joining us, guys. And everybody else who's just kind of rolling in, making their way in the room. Let us know where you're from and what you're doing and what you're up to. Today, we're talking creative current events. What are you guys seeing in the market right now? Currently.
Dean? Me?
You. Go ahead.
You up with a horrible question.
Yeah, my perspective, and quite frankly, apologies, George, I'm not at all in touch with what's happening locally in your market. So I'll back away from that question for a quick second. And Kyle, I don't know what's happening in Saskatoon right now either.
What about St. Albert?
Say that every time I do, right, we all see the headlines out there. And this goes way back to some training I had years ago. And I truly have bought into that when you see the headlines or the stories in the media that talk about The national average price in Canada for a house, and I just tune out at that point until they try and drill it down from a national to a local level.
Yeah.
Because, for example, here in Calgary, it's even different than what you're likely seeing there in Edmonton. Mm-hmm. Dean, you're a realtor, so you can back this up with numbers, but there's a shortage of inventory here in Calgary in certain segments. And the prices here have dropped from the frothy overbidding highs of Q1, Q2 of last year, but they're still up on an annual basis. Yeah. So I know that if any of the folks in there, if you're following Uncle Dean, you're that way, Dean, on Instagram, he and Shelley Visser had a joint venture townhouse that went conditionally sold 2 days after over list, multiple offers. So, oh my God, the sky is not crashing.
Yeah,
in all aspects here. So, and remember that investor properties, quite frankly, there's that old saying that it has been attributed to Warren Buffett that says, be fearful when others are greedy, right? When the fellow who's trimming your beard is talking to you about getting into real estate and says, hey, I hear real estate's a really good thing to do. We're thinking about investing in a property, and there's these new builds that it's time to maybe just step back and see what's happening. And as that pendulum swings to where everyone's doing it, and in the opposite, where everyone's running in fear, there are some deals to be had out there right now, because as an investor, and I'm in the buy and hold world talking this right now, or the flip world, quite frankly, there are opportunities out there right now. There are buying opportunities to be had. For in the creative side, to come back to your question, Wayne, we don't get many calls anymore because I know that our marketing and my updating on my website is not where it needs to be. When I'm getting calls on my website from people trying to sell their houses, it tells you that there is a wave. If it's not already upon us, it's coming, folks. So I don't care where you are in this country. Here's what your advantage is. I mean, if you're in Toronto and Vancouver and those markets that are truly down from some highs, but even if you're here in Alberta and you found someone who bought a property last June, they didn't pay the frothy high for it, but they put 5% down. Wayne, this was your wheelhouse for a number of years. If you put 5% down on a property in the last 30, 60, 90 days, 6 months in this market, here in Edmonton, or quite frankly, even worse in Toronto or Vancouver or in the Okanagan, you have to come out of pocket today to sell that house. So the people who want to sell, you didn't tell me tonight was Scotch Club too, folks. I can join that. Barry's not here, so the cat's away. Those folks, and I'll bump it from a $400,000 to a $500,000 house. You put $25,000 on a $500,000 house. You have $475 mortgage. You add back the CMHC or Genworth, who's not called Genworth anymore, insurance. You're probably at a $490 mortgage where you started, 3%, right?
Yeah.
Now you got to pay a payout penalty, and now you got to pay a realtor commission and the property value, even if you could get the same 500 for it, which you may not, and depending on your market. There are very few markets that are up from 3 to 6 months ago. There may be the odd one out there. The townhouse market seems to be doing okay in the local area here. I don't know. Quick math says $490 payout penalty of 12 to 15 grand as a guess, because a lot of people sign for 5 years. Realtor commissions of another 20-ish, 25,000.
23, yeah, whatever it is. Whatever. Yeah.
People are 30, 40, 50, maybe even 60,000 underwater today, folks. So it's not even about trying to get their down payment out. It's about, and again, we're going to differentiate very quickly when you're doing your creative buying, just as if you're doing your buying on MLS for a flip property or for a buy and hold property. You, as was said to me years ago, you take all of the properties you're looking at and you whack in rapid succession anything that is a suspect. So if you have a seller who says that they want to sell, and you realize from talking to them that they don't need to sell, their motivation changes. And how when market values start to shift going up, it's because there's more people who want to buy than are selling. And market values, as they start to come down, it's because nobody wants to sell a property for less than they paid. But when they need to sell it, they're going to take what they can get if they think it makes sense at some point in time. And that's what starts dropping prices. The people who want to sell they're going to wait because they're not forced to sell. The people who need to sell are the ones who go, you know what? I know we paid 500 and I know we can only get 480 and I know that's going to cost us this. And oh man, we got to, and they're gone because they're forced to, or they're giving it to the bank. So,
Yep.
What was the question again?
What's going on in the market? And you're nailing it. Like, and you said that was my thing for years back. But and you know what? There were tons of opportunities then. There were tons of opportunities after it. There was tons of opportunities before it, and there's tons of opportunities today. There's gonna be tons of opportunities tomorrow. There's always, like you said, there's always going to be people who need to sell their house in one of those situations.
When is the best time to buy a property, right?
Yeah.
5 years ago, 10 years ago. When's the next best time to buy a property? When the opportunity is there, right? So opportunities where timing intersects with knowledge. And again, folks, yeah, I'm the one who always is the person most loudly banging the drum of why are we here in this format? Come to one of the next weekend sessions that's happening because the opportunities are there. Sharpen your skills, add a tool to your belt, get your website going, get your Kijiji ad going at no cost to you, just a Kijiji ad.
Mm-hmm.
And opportunities will be there to buy because there are some people who don't have a solution in the regular thing. We haven't even touched upon the fact that people who have variable rate mortgages, ask me how I know right now, are hurting in cash flow.
Yeah.
So you could be a landlord, and tired landlords exist no matter which way the economy is going. But can you imagine if you're a tired landlord with a bad tenant with a $20,000 reno, and now you're on variable and your rates have gone up? I don't even want to guess. 4%, I think, is what it's been in the last 9 months. So what does that do to the payments? There's some real pain out there, folks. And if you can figure out a way to solve their pain, that's what Barry teaches. Solutions to pain, creative finance, creative buying, right? Who said that? Be a solution provider. Agreement for sale. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
If you've ever had any thoughts and curiosities about agreement for sale, now's the time.
Can you imagine knowing, understanding a strategy that could solve all those problems?
You know, that whole, what is the number one thing that holds back investors? I don't have any credit. I don't have any cash, or I've used up my credit, my cash in my first 1, 2, or 7 properties. Well, here's how you add. This is how we did it, folks. 10, 12 years ago, we were done. We couldn't get any more approvals. So we went the JV route. There's nothing wrong with joint ventures. Remember, though, that when you're working on a traditional JV at 50-50, you're working the same amount of work for half the return. Let's flip that the other way. If you find an agreement for sale where you have no cash or very little cash and no credit into a deal, and that allows you to move forward, what percentage of that are you giving away?
Yep. Dean, what do you see? I can just click the mute whenever I want.
You can mute me.
You've always got good information. It's almost like you just hold on to it and then just like Dean, like I'm sure you're seeing all the same stuff. And I'd say arguably, and Neil, don't take offense to this, I think the Dean is more active than we are as a real estate investor.
Bingo.
You're way more in the game than we are. So like I know that you're seeing a lot more, and obviously as a realtor as well, you're right in it and on that side as well. So like, you know, what are your thoughts on what Neil's been saying, or do you have anything to add?
So I'll put some numbers to it. I just checked this morning. I like to kind of keep a pulse on what's going on with the kind of ebbs and flows. So in the entire city of Calgary right now, if you include the conditionally sold houses, condos, townhouses, everything in the whole city, there's only 2,400 units in all of Calgary for sale right now, including pending sales. When you take off the pending sales, there's only 1,900 currently available for sale in Calgary. So there is a huge need for more houses for sure. And the good stuff is getting picked up. And as Neil had said, we just put ours on the market last weekend. We weren't even quite ready. We just wanted to make sure that we were getting in on this housing lull So there was a bunch of things that we just kind of left a list of deficiencies that would be fixed. And my picture taker took too long, so I was supposed to have pictures Friday. Didn't get them till Saturday morning, so I didn't even have it listed till Saturday around 10 a.m. And we had open houses already pre-booked for Saturday, Sunday. So we had 8 people through the open house on the Saturday, 8 private viewings on the Saturday, 20 people through the open house on the Sunday, 2 more on the Sunday nights, and we ended up with 4 competing offers and ended up getting $26,100 more than our ask.
Jeez.
And last year, we had already set a record in that complex. So the highest sale price ever recorded was $395, which was my flip last year. And so this one that we were flipping was an end unit. I thought it had more value. We priced it at $399.9, $5,000 more. And we now have set a new record at $31,000 more than last year's record. So the good stuff is going.
That's crazy, man. So what you're saying is that when we go for that beard trim in Calgary, you're buying.
I would be happy to buy. Happy to buy.
Yeah, I might put on. This is my 3 weeks of growth. I might go 4 weeks right now, so I can come in and you can buy for me too. Can I ask one last question when it comes to that stat of 1,900 houses for sale that aren't currently pending, Dean? What's the 30-day sales volume? Because that'll tell us, that's a fairly standard thing that says days supply of inventory. So we look at the last 30 days, how many have been actually tagged as sold, folks. If there's 3,800 houses, which I doubt would have been tagged sold in the last, that means there's a 15-day supply on the market in Calgary right now. I suspect it's not that low, but I know it's, put it this way, it's not 500, in which case there's a 4-month supply. If you follow my down.
I'm just going to log in.
Yeah.
So Dean's going to look that up.
While you're looking that up, there's a really great comment that someone posted here that said, B, their solution. They are not able to sleep at night, staring at the ceiling, praying for an answer. B, that answer to the pain relief for them. I know it's hard to imagine someone would do almost anything to relieve the pain because you have maybe never been there yourself. So it's hard for us to imagine this, but there are people out there that are literally stressing out.
Hands up if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night wondering about money.
Yeah.
I totally have, folks. Because I tend to sometimes go buy properties and go, crap. Now I got to go raise the cash to buy this, the capital and the private lending. But that's a whole other kettle of fish.
Wait, are we talking about houses or cars? I'm lost. I'm not sure which one we're talking about for you, Neil.
Yes, houses and cars.
Yeah.
But this example is not entrepreneurs, making smart business decisions or questionable business decisions. Yeah. These are people that are just like normal, working class people who are just, they need a solution. They're like, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to hand over the keys. My credit's gonna be ruined. There's also people, that are staring at the ceiling, also trying to figure out how the heck am I ever going to buy a house?
Yes.
How do I can't save up. Every time I do, every time I get ahead, it just seems like something in my life comes and just takes it away, and how am I supposed to, how am I ever going to buy a home when interest rates keep going up and my qualifying mortgageability just went down? I used to be able to qualify for a $500,000 house. Now I can only qualify for a $380,000 house. And that gets me a 1-bedroom apartment in Calgary and or a closet in many other cities across Canada. So
I can Airdrie.
There you go.
We're affordable. Not as affordable as we used to be, but we're still affordable. So when you ask the question, so what's your answer to all this? What are you seeing?
What am I seeing? Yeah. I think you kind of touched on it. That whenever the market goes up and down, there's always opportunities in every cycle. And as an entrepreneur, you just need to be able to recognize what opportunities are available, what's lacking in the market, and what can I provide? What services can I provide? What products can I provide that can help solve people's problems? And the big ones right now, the 2 big factors that I'm seeing is the ability to qualify for a mortgage and interest rates. And how can we use those 2 factors? Like what problems are being created because of that, and what solutions, services can we offer that we can make money off of. So, with people struggling to qualify for mortgages, obviously rent to own comes into play. It's a little complicated because of the interest rates and the uncertainty around that.
Yeah.
But I know your website's been, not producing as much, but I'm getting a ridiculous amount of people asking about rent to own right now. And
the rent to own side, our calls are way up. I'm talking our house buyers. Airbnbhousebuyers.ca does not rank very well, quite frankly. There's some stuff on there that we'll fix over time. But when I'm starting to get inquiries on house buying through there, it tells me that there's more activity because I just get a smaller piece of the pie. But our rent to own side, we just had our 42nd. We are not the Olivers, quite frankly, but this little company in Airdrie had our 42nd family since we started doing this qualify through our program, become homeowners. 43 is waiting to close, and there's 15 or 20 people behind them that are on their way. And I will say this as a little aside to rent to own, folks, it's not all lollipops and rainbows. Certainly the accountability side, there's a reason that some people will come to you. Sometimes it's just that Wayne said they have great credit, great jobs, great everything. They just can't quite get a down payment saved. But sometimes they've come from a credit bump in there, and the mindset around money, right? That whole, it's only $379 biweekly, and I can have a new car for the next 12 years of payments. And people get there's a thing today where it's not today, it's happened for the last 10, 15 years where society has moved people to going, it's only X per, and it used to be a month, but now we're seeing, right, the good old car business, they're advertising month or weekly payments, right? Own this car for $95 a week, right? Type of thing. So they don't tell you the term, and if you're going to pay that for 8 years, folks, do you really, really want to have that shiny new? Anyways, each to their own. I don't.
Yeah.
I was a new car sales manager in the automotive business in General Motors for way too many years, 6-8 years, and then another 9 years at Calgary BMW. Guess how many brand new cars we ever bought besides this many? We just didn't, right? Put a lot of groceries on our table. So put us a lot of down payments for houses and qualifying. Believe you me. But my Saskatchewan practical wife, as she calls it, understood life cycle cost, not monthly payment cost. What you buy, this is houses, folks. What you pay for a house, it's hopefully this number, and what you spend on the house to recondition it, this is flipping 101. It's all in the buy, but then it's all in the contractor and knowing your ARV. And it hopefully 1, 2, and 3 are in that order, because this is known as groceries. HIP national profit, right? Because if you're working really hard for no profit, it's really nobody wants to change 4 quarters for a loonie, quite frankly.
Crystal here, she says everyone wants $16.99 a month for subscriptions that turn into hundreds because you have 10 different accounts.
We use LastPass to track our, because I don't, passwords. I don't want to have the test 1, 2, 3, 4 for a password.
Yeah,
I have the free LastPass, and they keep sending this message: upgrade to premium for only $3 a month. I'm like, no, because $3 a month, and maybe it's stupid, maybe it's principle. It's somewhere in between the two of them. That's $36, but really, that's actually $50 of taxable income, right? The after tax, you have to work that hard to make that happen, and actually, it's more than 50 because I wish I was at a 28% tax bracket. Anyways, I'm way off topic again.
You just went.
Squirrel on the
squirrel. You ever see a rocket just go like
squirrel on the squirrel? And I'm not even into it. This is water, right?
That is moonshine, and we
sure it is. Sure it is. Yeah.
Wait a second. How far are we into the call? If I drain this, you'll know it's not moonshine. Or if it is, I'm a crappy moonshine maker.
Walter here is saying, "Are you creative guys getting more inquiries, leads right now? Maybe you can make a little transition into off-market stuff. I know, Neil, you had said that there wasn't much going on right now on your website, but Dean, have you been seeing you've been seeing a lot of off-market deals or opportunities?"
Yeah, definitely. And I've also cranked up my marketing in the last little bit here. So we've got big goals this 2023. So I'm spending about triple what I used to spend. And anyways, away we go. So, but yeah, definitely there's a ton.
Why are you spending triple? you spending triple because you know there's an opportunity?
Yeah, exactly.
Fish.
I mean, I don't want to ruin
There's
any secrets or whatever, but
no,
Um,
absolutely. And if you're able to see past the fear, then there's a ton of opportunity. Because when I built my house that I'm sitting in right now, this is 16 years ago, I was paying the interest rates that we are paying now today. But the difference was my mindset and everybody else's mindset in society was that's normal.
yes.
Only because interest rates cratered and went down to like 1%, does anybody even think twice about any of this stuff? And so if your mindset is right, I'm more than happy to help somebody sleep at night and move out of their house and take over their payments, blah, blah, blah. And I will make very, very, very good money doing it. So anyway, that's why I'm tripling my marketing.
I asked that because, you know, obviously Barry Maguire's got a wholesaling workshop coming up on March 18th in Calgary. And I'm obviously you're tripling, you know, your marketing budget. Matt Legere was on last week and he's killing it in the wholesaling game right now.
Yep.
You know, it seems like there's a lot of opportunities for newer investors, seasoned investors, to make some pretty good cash if they're willing to get the right education and build a good marketing funnel.
And here's another different answer for you, Walter, too. Are people seeing more? Do you two gentlemen remember Danny, who was at the last course when we were all in Edmonton? He just sent me a message going, hey, who do you know who might be interested in a wholesale deal that I have in BC? And I went, well, BC is kind of a big province. Where is it? He says, Victoria. So here's a little plug for you, Danny, if you're watching, because I'm not acting on a Victoria lead, but if I can put two people together, one hand washes the other, as the expression goes. Danny might have a wholesale lead for you folks there.
Where was
18.75%. Val, I feel your pain.
Right. And you know what? When we get older, I'm just saying, or when all of us get older, we'll be laughing at the time that we used to be able to get, you know, primary residence mortgages for 1.6%.
When the rates got that low, Wayne,
Yeah.
I can remember that the talking heads on stage, you know, at the real estate meetings, we're going to be saying, someday we'll be saying to our grandkids, we had mortgages in the 1 point something range. They go, I can remember having a mortgage at 1.75%. And they're going to go, oh, Grandpa, you're full of poop. Nobody had one that low. Well, it's the reality, folks. So, yeah, the norm, it takes a while for the norm to catch up. And there's so much, again, what gets clicks is clickbait and negativity rather than positivity. The positive stuff gets buried. The negative stuff is what draws people to it. We're predisposed to look for negative stuff as humans. That's how we survived as a species years ago, right?
Well, let me ask you, Grandpa. Yeah. Why didn't you just lock in on fixed rate terms?
I didn't lock in on fixed rate terms because in the time I thought that I could get at least 6.25% increases over the next 3, 4, 5 years and still be ahead.
That's what I'm going to tell my grandkids do.
But again,
who would have ever seen this happen?
We have ridden variable for the majority of our investing career. And if you read the Grandpa Neil, that's me. Hey, 4 grandkids, not kidding.
Next role-playing session.
We've ridden variable for a number of years. In the long run, variable will come out ahead. But there are periods in time where it goes the other way. We did the 2% 1 and 2 year rates for a while because there was no advantage. Variable couldn't, right, save you enough. In fact, I think variable is even a little more. Right now, hey, I just literally signed a renewal. In the last, I docu-signed it because the bank screwed up. I docu-signed it again on Monday. And guess if I went variable or fixed?
What did you go? Well, right now, variable.
Fixed.
Dean, would you have gone variable or fixed right now? And remember, folks, this is a property that for us is in our rent-to-own portfolio. So the 5-year rates right now they're really if you want to go onto a little bit of a rabbit hole, but if you understand rates and where they come from, the 5-year fixed rates have nothing to do with the Bank of Canada overnight lending rate. They have everything to do with the 5-year government bond rates. And right now there's inversion, which doesn't happen very often, where the 1 year and the 5-year are not in their traditional spread. So the 1-year rates are ridiculously high, higher than variable. I may not have this property in 6 months. So we went prime is what they renewed it at, which for a commercially adjudicated mortgage, again, 6.45. Wow, that's great rate. I'll take it. Right. It's not where I was. My payments have definitely gone up.
Yeah.
But it's better than paying 8%, which is, I think, what the 1-year rate is on some of our commercial renewals on residential properties. This is not commercial property.
Right.
Because
Right.
the
Oh,
1-year
yeah.
rate,
It was your commercial through residential.
if someone, the friends are saying, hey, my home mortgage is coming up, or my rental property that I'm keeping for 15, 20 more years is coming up. If you're not in a hurry, I would still not lock in for 5. Right. The common-ish theory right now is that we are in a peak. In fact, if you track the 5-year bond rates right now, there's places where you can see it happening. There's been a downward trend for the last, I might be able to say 3 weeks now, if not 2. So it's the same thing. This is like gas prices, folks. When the oil price goes up, what happens? The next day or the same day, the price is up at the local station. You see the oil price drop. You go, wait a second. Why is the gasoline price still up? And eventually it comes down. It's quick to go up, slower to come down. Sue me if I'm slanderous. It's the same with mortgages. Yeah, you're right. They're paying, Crystal, you're right. They're paying more attention almost to the 4-year bond because they know that the average mortgage length is less than that. But they're pushing people to 5 years because they know they get a fatter payout penalty. That's the bank strategy. Anyways, so the 5-year bond rate, folks, has come down, but there has been no corresponding decrease in the big banks' 5-year fixed rate that should be there. The spread of what they're charging right now between bond rate and fixed rate is higher than the norm until one of the big 6. It's usually, someone help me out here, is it usually TD or BMO are the first ones to kind of break that ice? Scotia and CIBC are not in dropping fixed rates. There's no collusion, though. We can't say that word.
Quick, get something in while he's drinking.
You hurt my feelings.
So you never. So to sum that all up, hey, Grandpa Neil, could you just? So you went fixed or you went variable? You never actually said.
I went variable.
You went variable.
Okay.
Prime rate 6.45.
What was it?
Interesting.
6.45 is prime today. Bank prime.
Yeah.
I
go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say I went fixed for 3 years on my home residence, but this was months ago as things were bumping up, and my discounted rate actually was cheaper to lock in for 3 years than what the variable was, and we were still anticipating more bumps. So I locked in, but only because nobody anticipated the government raising, or Bank of Canada raising the rate so quick. So I got 3 years, and then we're moving anyway. So whatever.
Okay. I ironically just got an email from my broker on Friday and saying, hey, you got one coming up in March. And I'm like, yeah, I've just been waiting till the last minute to kind of see where things go. But I think we're going to lock in at either 2 or 3 years at fixed. And it's I got a joint venture.
When does it actually mature, Wayne?
March something.
So if they'll give you a rate lock on a renewal, at some point they will lock it.
Yeah.
And do one of these, and it would be my best guess that if you see those bond rates continuing to drop, and hope that someone between now and then that trend stays down, and someone goes, we can gain a 0.002% more market share, and we can steal new mortgage business from the other banks, and then they'll all match it within 24 hours. But there's always someone who's going to move, because the smaller non-big banks have already started to move. I'm getting True North in my social media feeds, right? And there's a lot of asterisks around it, but I think they're offering, is it a 4.59 5-year fixed rate? Does that sound right, Dean?
Right. Yeah, that's correct.
there's no big bank that's giving any kind of brand new client that rate, let alone a renewal.
Yeah.
But it tells you that as that trend grows, they know that some of that business is going to bleed out to the monoline or small or whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
Right. Type of thing.
What direction do you want to go now, Neil?
In terms of what tonight and the discussion?
I keep trying to keep it, and then it's just like, I have to be like, so what about joint ventures, guys? Well, and you kind of gave us a bit of a segue 20 minutes ago, Dean, when you or Neil was talking about Dean, because you did a joint venture on your most recent fix and flip, right?
I did,
and I don't think we talk about joint ventures enough. I don't think Barry does, but I don't think the community talks about it enough. But it's a creative strategy. It's a creative strategy of buying properties, and you can utilize joint ventures with just about everything except for wholesaling. Maybe you kind of sort of can, but all these creative strategies that we're normally focused on, you can kind of include joint ventures into it. And it seems like you and Lucky Shelley, she got in with you. I don't know who found that deal, that townhouse that you guys just
sold. So that first one that I had sold last year, I had bought it under AFS, flipped it, and set that big number for the sale. And so Shelly got excited. She's like, we should do one together. I'm like, okay, cool, let's do it. Like at the time I had 4 other flips I was doing. So I was like, sure, whatever, we can do it. And so we went and saw it together, and we bought it together. And it was ugly.
Aww.
Like it was ugly. Like it smelled so bad of pot and cigarettes that you couldn't stay in the house for more than 5 minutes without like being sick. So we literally had to go in. We took it right down to basically the studs, sprayed everything with an oil-based sealant, and obviously it works because we got big dollars for it. So it's great.
For people that are new to real estate investing, or maybe they haven't done a joint venture yet, I mean, what other than you guys being best buds, why would you bring a joint venture partner in?
Great question.
Yeah, great question. Basically, I actually do a lot of joint ventures or private money on my flips. So, I mean, it's a way to keep my contractor going. I have a full-time contractor that works for me. So I always want him busy. I don't ever want him going anywhere else. And then it's a way for everybody to make a little bit of dough. Because when you're doing 4 or 5, like at my peak last year, I was doing 6 flips at once. And your average flip is, 80 to 100 grand each. You need
in reno,
a little bit of cash injection in reno. Yeah.
Just reno. Let alone acquisition.
80 to 100 is, let alone, yeah, that's right. Let alone acquisition. Exactly. So, so you eventually, I mean, unless you're a millionaire, eventually you're going to need some partners. Otherwise you can't scale. And that's something that I've worked on a lot through 2022 and now into 2023. Part of our goal now is we are actually planning to scale properly. So that means Dean's not GCing one of the condo flips because his other GC is busy. Dean still is looking for more deals and funding those deals. That's basically my only job now is, I check in on the properties, but my GC does what my GC does. I find deals, I fund deals. That's all I do. And then, of course, I sell it, of course.
That's the way to do it, right? I mean, Neil, I'm sure you do the same way.
He does.
Say this sometimes rather flippantly, but there are some of our flip properties. We have 4 houses right now, 2 townhouses. Only one is listed. That's a whole other side, by the way. If we have some time for another topic of conversation, it's like flipping sounds easy and sexy. Flipping has potential pitfalls, but there's some of these properties, folks, I've never set foot in them and I will say this: I have a great respect for those of you watching this and that I see on Facebook and other social media who are actually swinging the hammer yourself and learning the process and being involved in the process. Because everyone starts somewhere. It's kind of like when we started as buy and hold landlords, we didn't we didn't hire a property manager, because the more we heard about it, it was hard to find the property manager who's going to mind. Nobody minds your own business the way you mind your own business, is the other way to put it, right? Who's the most invested in your business or your business, right? Besides you two.
Yeah.
In your case, right, Dean, you're on your own. In your case, you know Gabby is, but beyond that, right? So if you're doing this and you understand it, the folks who are swinging the hammer, and we met a lady who had 100 and some doors at one point, and she was painting her own rental properties. And we said, what? You know, I recognize that you're saving the money, but if you think about right now, my job is the same as Dean. My job is to keep our contractor's hopper full, his pipeline full of properties. Because the day that I don't have work for him is the day he goes, I got to eat.
Yeah.
Right. So I've said this for the other courses. We back end bonus our contractors. So he's also minding the shop and not, as Linda used to say, bellying up to the bar and just spending and just buying whatever's convenient, as opposed to looking for some deals.
Yeah.
So anyways, if you learn that craft, folks, you may today have the ability to then keep painting the walls and swinging the hammer. And I'm in awe, because again, I don't even know what end of the hammer to use, quite frankly. But at some point in time, and I took our contractor when he first started, he's really good at a lot of things. He could build a house darn near from A to Z himself. But then we have had that ability as we scaled, and Dean talked about the word scaled, for him to understand that there's more return for both of us if he spends more time GCing and maybe doing some work in parallel with these people. Because again, one of our properties is a 1.1 buy. So you do that math, that's $100,000 of interest in a year at 10%, which sounds like $8,500 a month, which is about, I don't even want to do the math, 300 something. Is that right? Whatever it is, carrying cost a day, right? Your daily carrying cost on your $300,000 flip, Dean, was probably about $100 a day. So it's not only about turning them. So as you scale from being a person with a hammer, and you realize that what your worth is to go out and acquire properties and scale. And it's okay, by the way, to not scale. If you want to do one, there's, again, kudos, because you get to control the final product at a greater level. So there's no right answer. Right? I just don't know how to moderate. That's why I asked
you do what's good for you, ultimately.
At the end of the day, you bet.
The truth is, like, you can make a really good wage. You can make a lot of money swinging hammers, but you don't get rich swinging hammers. You get rich if you're the CEOs are the ones that get rich, and that's what Dean's making. That transition, or he's already applied that, is he doesn't want to be in doing all the little things. He wants to be the guy controlling everyone, having his little management team taking care of all the little things, and then the technicians at the bottom doing the day-to-day work. If you want to scale and you want to be a very big, successful real estate investor, you have to think that way. Otherwise, if you're out door knocking and you're out swinging hammers and stuff like that, you're going to do really well, and people are going to say, good for you, but can you do 10?
Work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
Right. And there's another expression from years ago that just popped back in my head that says, there are times, it's not always that case, but there are times when the person with the cleanest work boots on the site is also the highest paid person.
Facts.
And again, that's at no insult to the people who are doing that work.
Yes.
Because you need singers to sing and dancers to dance, is the other way to put it.
But some of those people need to hear that today.
Yeah. And I know to get out of my own way when it comes to the design of the house. I'm like, I'm out. Nope, don't ask me to pick anything.
I learned that too.
Neil, in my case, Neil, it's the guy with the cleanest flip flops that is making the most on the job site, because that's how all my contractors know me. They're like, "Are you seriously wearing flip flops on the job site again?" I'm like, "Dude, it's my house. Just I'm good. Don't even worry about it."
Yeah, that's a huge flex.
Can we outflex him, Wayne? Yeah, the guy with the cleanest flip flops calling from the beach.
I've never showed up in flip flops.
I've never shown up at the job site.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh man,
But I'm still in Alberta right now.
Somebody wants you to keep talking.
Walter.
Walter says, Neil, can you elaborate?
That's a great
on how you-
question. Here's the weird part on that, because I can't ever answer a question just directly. He came to us with the proposal and he said, normally what are most contractors? What are you paying, Dean? 40, 50, hopefully maybe even $60 an hour to the best guys. He came to us and said, if I cut that rate and I'm willing to cut my rate and you pay me a percentage of the back end, would you do that deal? And I didn't even have to think about it. I'm like, man, you proposed that? I'm in. Where do I sign? And we did that on a handshake. And then I did a letter of intent just to lock it in. So I'll share with you folks, we pay him 25% of the profit.
Wow.
The bottom line profit after we charge everything there, legals, commissions, interest, his invoices, right? The stagers in everything, net bottom. Here's your check.
Wow.
And we actually upped that. Last summer, I upped it to 30%.
He must be doing good.
He's doing amazingly, right? The one that we have right now is today's the 23rd. We listed that one on about the 27th of December, trying to catch that late crowd. That's probably the longest, other than in COVID times, we've had, especially in this townhouse area, that we've had one on the market in that amount of time, right? And we're going to say we think we might know the reasons. We're not in the thick of the price point like Dean. We're at 5,674.9 and reduced it to 568 3 days ago or 2 days just before the weekend. Yeah. And that's not prime. That's in thinner air. It's also a 2-bedroom. So you learn, right? Folks, again, if you're going to get in the rent-to-own game, be aware that a 3-bedroom townhouse, on average, in general, you'll fill that. If you're a property first company like we are, you'll fill the 3-bedroom townhouse on rent to own more quickly than you'll fill the 2-bedroom townhouse. Speaking of squirrel and squirrel, there's a little aside in rent to own for you. So Walter, yeah, I'm happy to share those numbers because it's just a different way of looking at it, right? So now there's a mindset that he's going to open the store and close the store and not just be an employee. He's bought in. They're invested as much as we are, just in a different way, not with we're the horsepower, right? Sweat and equity.
Let me ask you a question. Just rewind it just a pinch because you did a profit share, a net profit share with him. What document did you use to share those profits? Did you do it on a handshake, napkin? Did you use a joint venture agreement?
The very first time that when he proposed it, I said, done. I said, I'm going to send you an email just to make sure that we've captured all the detail on it and we'll figure it out from there. Because it was his idea. We had met to go over the first property that I bought on wholesale from, right? And so then I sent him that and he went, yep. And then we put it into I think I wrote it as a letter of a memorandum of understanding. That it's not even really a contract.
Yeah.
But I will say this, you all know this, that if your very best friend wants to borrow $100, as long as they're still your best friend, they haven't hooped you for the $100, you're going to go, you want 100, Dean? No problem. And I don't need a contract. I know that he's going to pay me back. We're now on, I was counting it the other day. I think we might have just the property coming as our 20 or 21st flip, of which 12 to 15 of them are with him. Mm-hmm. So when that first one was done, we printed the spreadsheet because that's how we track it. And then our bookkeeper also verifies it. We print it. We send him the advance on what I think his share is. I keep a little bit back to allow for a holdback and all that, because these days you all know that it's taking forever to get your reporting packages until land titles is finally done.
Yeah.
And we square up. And once you've squared up once, you're pretty good for the second and 2 and 3. Right. We're good right now.
Dean, have you ever done any profit sharing with a contractor before?
Not necessarily, but I'm to the point now with my GC and his apprentice that I don't even ask him to quote jobs anymore.
Yeah.
I tell him what I want, he does it, and whatever he bills me, I know is going to be fair. So I don't have to play around with any of that. It's
And he knows he's going to get paid, that he's going to have to chase, and he's not going to have to threaten liens, and he's not going to have you go, well, what's
Yeah.
this? And I'm back charging, right? One hand washing.
And that's the other part of it is when I get an invoice, it gets paid that day.
Boom.
So yeah. There's no messing around. There's no reminder text, nothing like that. It's I got an invoice, you're paid. It's done.
We're the same way.
I do that with all my trades, actually.
It's the right way to do business.
It generates appreciation and loyalty because unfortunately you hear, if you listen and chat with your trades, I bet you darn near every single one of them are going to tell you about a deal where they basically worked for free and got screwed. Like they didn't even get a portion of it. They got nothing. And life is too short in my world to do that, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
What kind of risks do you think could possibly happen with partnering or having a profit sharing thing, assuming you've got a perfect agreement signed and legally binding and stuff? What kind of risks do you think could come from that?
We lost money on our third flip that we did with him. It was the trifecta, I call it. I think I've talked about it on some of these things before, but short version, over budget, late to list, launched it into COVID in March of 2020. Into the
what could go wrong?
Of no showings. And then when the market finally started to trickle back, it was now June, and we had an offer that it was the first time we do conservative ARBs. I want my ARB to be lower than low because I don't want to stretch ARB to think I have a deal. And so we do conservative ARBs, and that's the only one where we haven't hit ARB. We lost money. We paid every single one of our private investors back because, again, the day I would have gone to them going, so Dean, yeah, I know I agreed to pay you, but would you take a little less because I lost money? Dean would go, can I have my check and lose my number because I will never lend you money again. So we kept them all whole and we took the lump because, again, folks, despite what you read and see on HGTV, flipping has risks and you can lose money on it. And I'll be the first guy to say we lost money. So he worked for a crappy wage.
Yeah.
He worked for apprentice type wage, for almost basic labor type wage, but we did not make him participate in loss. And that hadn't even been spoken about. We never said if we lose that you're going to pay me. I'm like,
right.
We just ate it, right? And we went on and same thing. So that was the one downside. The other downside, I guess, is if there has to be airtight accounting so that there's no accusations of stealing, right?
Right.
Dishonesty.
Yep.
So,
yeah.
And again, it could be if you had the wrong contractor and they ended up overbilling you to put it in their pocket, that can happen even without a profit share, right?
Yeah.
We've all seen that situation where people got billed way too much versus what was promised and, but we found, and all that happens, right? But again, trust is a word that comes up lots in the Barrie seminars when you're buying, when you're doing rent to own, when you're doing all these things. We did one of our very first agreement for sales that we did. I pulled my credit bureau and I showed the guy, right? Because he goes, I said, I don't have anyone else that I can say, I bought a house this way from this gentleman, call him. But as you get going, you can then leverage. We didn't get to be this big a company with this long of a track record, with this many success stories by screwing people, right?
True.
It's a very small industry. Calgary is a big city with a small town. It's not 6 degrees of separation. I'd say it's 2 at max. So you start screwing people, it'll come back real fast.
Yeah,
real fast.
If Crystal, if you're still on there, you can speak to that in Red Deer, and Airdrie's 80,000 people. Right?
Yeah.
I'm literally in the superstore going, oh, hi, right? And I don't want to be the guy who goes, oh, crap. Did Dean see me? I got to go the other way and with my card. Like, again, life is too short.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. How's your flips going, Wayne?
Good. Sitting on the market.
Yeah.
Just sitting on the market. Yeah. We got pictures today
Nice.
Is today Monday? Yeah, I got pictures today of the one that got super delayed. It's all staged. It looks gorgeous. We're way over timeline, way over budget, and all these things went wrong. And yeah, but it is what it is. It's there's some things you just can't control, and you named most of them, right? It's some things just take longer, and Windows mostly this year. Windows. Just when you think you got a time, these windows at this property are supposed to be in November 15th, and they got installed January 3rd.
Wow.
Yeah, big delay. And then so it is what it is. We're fine. We're gonna probably break even on it, but we're happy that we're not losing any money. And otherwise, everything else just kind of sitting on the market. They all got put on the market at like the worst time, and is what it is. But we were just about at the hour mark, and I wanted to see if you guys had any closing remarks about what you think real estate investors, should be focusing on, what they should be paying attention to right now, based on current events. Should they be wholesaling? Should they be looking at rent to own? Should they be looking at agreements for sale? Should they be looking at potentially partnering with people? Should they be looking at flips? Closing remarks?
I went first last time.
What was that, Dean?
I just said yes.
Yeah.
Really, what people generally do at the start of a new year is, or at least what I do, I guess I can't speak for everyone, but we look at what we accomplished last year. We set new goals and what we want to accomplish for this, and go. And so I would say that anybody that's doing that or done that, I think they should make real estate a part of that goal. But everybody's going to have a different interest level as far as, whether that's wholesaling or whether that's rent to own or whatever. I mean, everybody does what's best for them. And so, yeah, I mean, I can only say, yes, because I do real estate full time. I've got 5 various businesses in different aspects of real estate. So I love it. So yeah, I'm all real estate, 0 stocks. So no Bitcoin for me, no stocks. I'm all in, but that's just me personally. So
Neil?
Darn, it is tough going second.
Try going third.
The biggest thing that I think I can say on all of this is Dean's right. There is the path to success in real estate is not one path. There are multiple ways to get there. The only thing I can maybe suggest is when you decide that you want to be a flipper, as an example, be a flipper. Don't get distracted, squirreled by, oh, what's this self-storage place? What's this over here? What's over this? And become a master at what you do. That whole 10,000 hours, become a master. And it's this whole mentality of you can get rich. No, you can learn to hone your craft and make money over time and get good at it. We only started really flipping about 3 or 4 years ago now, but I listened to some of the other success stories and said, okay, are we in a position to take that on? Linda, to her credit, having a basket, right? It's perfect answer. Mm-hmm. Linda, to her credit, because I wanted to do the self-storage mini course, because the place we're at, they said, run to the back of the room. The first 10 people will give you a discount. And she went, whoa, Mr. Squirrel, settle down. We just started down this road. And so we started with AFS and then layered it in with rent to own because it gave us the exit on the properties. Just because we did it that way doesn't mean that everyone else should, right? So I think, again, if you're going to do anything involving landlord, I would say become a landlord first and just a buy and hold, because if you don't, the basics of landlording. But I know people have jumped in and done rent to own out of the chute. But you're going to be a flipper, right? Again, I'm a long-suffering Leaf fan. A lot of you guys know that, right? Yeah. And the Leafs, if you ever watch Steve Dangle, he does the podcast after every game. And one of his funniest ones is whenever the goaltender ventures out too far and loses the puck, if you're a goaltender, tend the goal, as he says, because the goaltender is running away trying to handle the puck and he screws up and there's a wide open net.
Mike Smith.
You're going to be a flipper, folks. If you're going to be an AFS person, if you're going to be a wholesaler, put your heart and soul into laser focus is the, hey, I'm easily distracted. I think you guys figured that out a long time ago. But if you can laser focus on something in your craft, it's how you can make those gains. And I have one other thing to say. For those of you who think that you can't afford to do all this stuff, money is truly in abundance. And I've said that for years. There's so much private lending. Wayne, in your group, give me an estimate of how much private lending funds are being swapped around right now.
It's over like 5 million.
It's
like in the last 4 months. It's ridiculous.
Right? The amount of money that's out there. We added someone to our network finally this year because I went, holy crap, in my world of not moderating, 4 houses, a few too many, plus the townhouses. We finally took on a new investor. We don't take them on that often. And I used to have that confidence that buy a place, I know I can fund it. Now I'm like, okay, we've expanded. Now it's time to expand our circle of influence, right? As the ad says on TV, this is not an ad for, right?
Yeah.
You need my prospectus. Anyways, Wayne, your turn.
Well, I get closing remarks. I get the last one. I think, Neil, you've been teaching with Barry and Donna for many a years. Dean and I are both students of Barry and Donna's courses. All this stuff that we're talking about today is all taught. Like Dean and I learned this all from Barry. So if any of this stuff is interesting you, I would highly recommend taking their courses. I don't endorse any other courses. I don't.
Neither
I don't even teach any of these courses because it's right there. Why would I? It's not like they have the best stuff. So, with all of the opportunities that we talked about today, in today's market and coming potentially, in the near future, I'd strongly recommend taking one of their home study kits on their website that would help whatever strategy that you're trying to go and do. Also, as well, March 18th, they're doing a wholesaling workshop in Calgary. April 1st in Toronto, they're doing the agreements for sale workshop. I'm hearing rumors about May in Edmonton. They're doing rapid cash, which covers all of the strategies. If you're interested in any of this stuff, go take one of their courses. Look at the three of us. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to gloat, but I mean, it worked out really well for us, and it work out really well for you too. And don't miss out on these opportunities. Don't sit on the sidelines and wait another 6 months or another year. I say this all the time. 2024 is right around the corner. You don't even know.
You just reminded me what my closing comment was, not to take it back. So you'll have last comment, I promise. But it was, folks, if you do nothing else this year, and because if you're thinking and you've been thinking, I was a regular in Rain. I still have my membership. They don't do live meetings anymore, but you would meet the people who were super nice. And they were, I'm analyzing, I'm gathering, I'm figuring it out, I'm trying to. And 3 years later, they were still super nice people, and they were analyzing and gathering and figuring it out, I'm trying to.
Some people say they're still analyzing today.
Put it in gear and give it a little gas, right? Yeah. So if this is your year, we're 23 days into a new year. But hey, if you're going to look at the lunar calendar, right, we're into a new lunar year. New year is overstated. But folks, if you've been watching us for a while, the possibility is there. Yeah. The answers are there. A little bit of action. An ounce of action beats a boatload of intention. Back to you, Wayne. I'm muted.
The last thing I was going to say was that you're going to blink and it's going to be 2024. Happens every freaking year. You blink and you're like, oh crap, maybe next year. So don't blink. Just go, move, take action, like he said. That's all. Anyways, or don't.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Or don't.
Or don't. Sorry, guys. Thank you, everyone, for joining with us today. And hopefully this is valuable. Again, if you guys are interested in any of those upcoming workshops or the home study kits, go to barrymaguire.ca. It's all there. or reach out to any of us and ask us, hey, you took that course. What'd you think of it? What can I expect? We like most.
Anyone has any questions, reach out. You
DM
know
us.
that. Dean will answer them. Wayne will answer them.
Yeah.
I'll answer them eventually. And we're happy because, again, someone was kind enough to give me a couple of tools when we first started to get us started in this business. And we today are very grateful for those folks who have helped us along the way. And I'm still learning. I'm learning every day.
Mm-hmm.
So, and by the way, Donna, if you made it to an hour and 5 watching this replay from when you get back, I'm out of jam.
I already told her I'm out of jam, so I got first dibs.
I'm
just doing this to see if she's actually watching it at an hour 5.
Yeah. She's probably just got Grandpa Neil on replay. I'm flipping that one for sure.
It's time now for me to go to bed.
All right, everybody. Have a great night.
Take care, everyone. Rock and roll.